Let's begin with developments in Rivers State. Delivering judgment on Thursday, a three-member panel of the Court of Appeal held that the lower court lacks the jurisdiction to grant the ex parte order to remove the lawmakers. The appeal court held that Section 273, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution as amended gives the Federal High Court powers to determine whether the seat of a House of Assembly member has become vacant. It held that the Federal High Court has the exclusive jurisdiction to determine the vacancy of a House of Assembly seat. The express motion of the Federal High Court in Section 273, subsection 3 of the Constitution automatically excludes all state high courts from having the jurisdiction the court held. It held that the ex parte order, having been made without jurisdiction, is null and void. Reacting to this ruling, the Victor Okojumbo-led Rivers State House of Assembly, loyal to Governor Siminalayi Fubara, has said it has filed an appeal at the Supreme Court to challenge the judgment of the appeal court. Mr. Okojumbo said this in a statement issued in Port Harcourt on Friday.
Our lawyers, and they have filed an appeal through the Supreme Court of Nigeria, challenging the judgment of the Court of Appeal delivered on the 4th day of July 2024. This House of Assembly, with me as the Speaker, is the only House of Assembly in Rivers State. Martins, Amaewhule, and 24 others, in spite of all their pretenses, are no longer members of the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Well, joining me to discuss this are two gentlemen. Haya King is a human rights advocate, and it joins me via Zoom. And Evans Ufeli, who is a legal practitioner, joins me live in the studio. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for accepting our invitation. Let me start with you, Mr. Ufeli. When you were here the last time, you had a very different take on the Rivers crisis and how both sides had broken the law. Now, what's your take on this recent development?
Well, the recent development is an outfall of the decision of the Court of Appeal, which has made it clear from pulling from the Constitution to say that the State High Court of Rivers State does not have jurisdiction to determine a question as to whether the seats of lawmakers have been declared vacant, in the Rivers State, as it were. So the Jumbo faction have said they are heading to the Supreme Court, or they are about to file a case in the Supreme Court to that effect. Now, that is their options of appeal. That form part of the option of appeal to exhaust. So let the Supreme Court decide whether or not that position the court held before was true, or was that is what it should be. But you know that when this defection happened, that is in a year declared their seat vacant.
Yes.
And that declaration have not been overturned by any court whatsoever up until now. So looking at the case in its totality, we're heading to the final destination and the pronouncement on the matter under reference, and that will determine. But the Court of Appeal did not rule on whether the seat of these lawmakers have been vacant or not. What he said is that the court that determined it at the High Court Rivers State does not have jurisdiction. What it means under the law is that if a court does not have jurisdiction, however brilliant the judgment is, or however fantastically delivered such a judgment is, it cannot stand the test of time, because the hallmark of litigation is jurisdiction. And when you don't have jurisdiction, you cannot. So, but when you look at the papers and you look at some of the reports from the press, the report came out as though the court went ahead, and because some newspapers said that the Amaewhule faction can now go back to the State House and continue their legislative function. But that's not part of the ruling of the court. You cannot read into a judgment what is not there. The express mention of one thing in law excludes the other. The court says, you don't have jurisdiction. The court does not have jurisdiction, and it ends there. So
other matters can be determined.
Yeah, as to whether their seat is vacant or not, the court did not go there. You understand? So that people should not read into it what is not there, because they made it look like it was victory for the Amaewhule's faction of the divide and all that.
Okay, so let me go to Haya, who is joining us via Zoom on this matter. Now, for all parties celebrating this judgment, looking at what our guest here said, is there anything in the judgment to rejoice about? Is this a win for any side?
Definitely, my name is Haya, human rights advocate once more. I want to say that what the guest in the studio said is actually the correct position. The court, see what happened. Based on Section 107, they defected. And having defected, the law says when you defect, you vacate your seat. So when they now defected, the remaining members, following that section of the 1999 Constitution of the law, now pronounced that their seat has become vacant. They now went to a high court. And the high court said, yes, their seat has become vacant. They now went to Court of Appeal. What Court of Appeal just said is that court where they went, whether their seat has become vacant by the Constitution, that's another issue. Completely by the Constitution, yes, their seat has become vacant, because it didn't say until a court pronounces it. It says when you leave without any cause of alarm, your seat becomes vacant. So that section of the law has been fulfilled the moment they left. So their seat became vacant. But they went to the court to test it. Now they went to the wrong court. That is what the Court of Appeal said. That they ought to have gone to a federal high court. It was the state high court that said, yes, follow interpreting the Constitution. What they went to do was interpret the Constitution, not to canvass a new idea or new position in law. To say, if these people left, we declare their seat vacant. Are we right? Are we wrong? By the Constitution. So the High Court now said, yes, you are right to have declared their seat vacant by the law, by the Constitution. Now the Court of Appeal have just said that court ought not to, by virtue of Section 273, that High Court that declared their seat, that agree with the position of the Constitution, is wrong. That is only what the Court of Appeal said. It didn't say that they should go back. Now, I thought that story was sensational. It was wrong. It didn't say there was no victory for anybody. There was nothing to rejoice. There was nothing to take home. There was no judgment. There was no victory. There was no judgment. Only said, oh, look, you went to the wrong court. So now they are going to Supreme Court. That issue will still be there. So after they go to Supreme Court, they will still reach the Supreme Court. Maybe the Supreme Court says the Court of Appeal was right, the High Court was wrong. They will not go back to the Federal High Court. So it's still a long journey for anybody to say it's yet Uhuru. There is no Uhuru yet. It is still a long journey, because that issue is the only issue that will be taken to the Supreme Court. They cannot add or remove that issue, whether the High Court has jurisdiction. That is only what the Court of Appeal said. And that is the only thing the Supreme Court will say. So if the Supreme Court at the end of the day says, oh yeah, the High Court has jurisdiction, they will not set aside the decision of the Court of Appeal and affirm that of the High Court. But if they go to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court agrees with the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court will ask them to go to the appropriate court.
Okay.
That is what the Supreme Court will do.
Okay, but Haya King, now the reason for the expulsion of the state's lawmakers is bordering on constitutional cross-carpeting, as cited by Okojumbo, that there has been an issue in our political sphere where politicians move from one party to the other and all of that and still try to remain on their seat. How can this issue of cross-carpeting be solved?
Unfortunately, Section 109 that has been overturned, everybody knows this, that has detection right now in Nigeria lexicon. Section came to cure this same problem we are in. Let me say this is my favorite quote. Nigerian politicians, they don't do what is right, they don't do what is legal, they don't do what is constitutional, they don't do what is moral. They only do what is political. And most of the time, what is political is unconstitutional, is immoral, is illegal, is against the law. And that is what they do. Because from 2003, we started seeing this cross-carpeting and cross-carpeting. So lawmakers, they themselves, to their lawmakers, to the lawmakers who went ahead to enact that section of the Constitution, to keep it. Now, they come again and violated it. They didn't just see it. They saw that provision of the law. They saw it before saying that we have defected. They saw it. So if they had wanted to stop this crisis that we have now, they wouldn't have gone ahead. I think it was a regrettable decision that they took. Because I have also heard in some other matters, they are presently saying that they have not defected, that they are still in PDP. So you can see that they made a grave yard mistake. It was a fundamental error mistake that they made. What the Constitution went ahead to cure, that is where you took us back. You can see whether these men are really honorable men. For me, you can see whether they are really honorable people. They saw it. They saw that section. Because that section came to stop this brouhaha, to stop this situation. And yes, they violated it. They went and did what is political. Constitutional, they don't obey. And legal, they don't obey law. Yes, they are taking people. The same thing that we went ahead to stop. That is what they took us back to.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate.
All right, so let's come back to the studio now to Mr. Amaewhule on this matter. There's been so many judicial pronouncements in Rivers State, and we see politicians cherry-picking on which ones to choose from to obey. Do we also blame the judiciary for entertaining these matters?
No, you cannot blame the judiciaries for entertaining the matters. The judiciary
entertaining several actions on the same subject.
Yes, several actions, not from the same point.
Okay.
Yeah, because the judiciary did not go to stand on the express road and ask politicians to bring case to that place. Each time we blame the judiciary. I wonder, because this is an arm of government that is responsible for the interpretation of laws. Every inactions of government, of individuals, politicians, whoever, they bring it there for judicial review. And what the court will do is to look at the law and the facts and marry both and take a decision based on law. Okay? So these cases are thrown to the court. Now, those who file these cases are the people we should direct the blame to, because the court have made several attempts to ensure that matters are not relitigated after they have been litigated. So because when the court becomes functions official, when a case has become res judicata, it should not arise again in a court of law. But in the case of Rivers, you will see that several cases were filed on several angles. There's a case now pending. You know that there's a case they filed against INEC not to step in based on the Edison pronouncement of their seat vacant.
Okay.
They went to court. That's before the president's intervention came in, where that agreement was signed that was eventually not resolved. Okay. So the people of Rivers, they must decide whether they want to continue with democracy or they want to invent a different kind of political system, which will actually lead to a change of things. Because what we've had over time now is both sides, divided. People are there's also one judgment too that says that these guys have not defected.
Yes.
That because the claimants who went to court have not proven that their names have been delisted from the PDP and have now been enlisted in the APC, and they did not show the membership card, that they're no longer in PDP, they're now in APC. It talks about its own jurisdiction too, and all that. So we've had these cases back and forth. When you look at them, no two cases are the same. There are actually several matters filed on the subject matter from different angles. And what the court will do is to look at what is before it. The court is not going to overstep its bound or go outside what is before it. It will make pronouncement based on what it was. But when the public want to analyze, they do not check or they do not even consult to find out what was before the court took the decision it took. Sometimes they'll just go to town and start to make pronouncement and expression to that effect. So the state seems to be getting it wrong. I expected the elders of that state by now they should have done something very fundamental.
Like what?
Yeah, but, early enough, they took sides very early. So it's difficult for them now to call the warring parties together. At the time they took sides, they should have called the warring parties together and looked for a political solution. What the president tried to do at that time, even though a lot of us criticized it, but it looked like what should be the solution in the long run. Because litigation don't look like what is going to solve the problem. Because as we're doing this, the outgoing local government chairmen are warming up, they are creating their own disputes. So you drop off from Fubara and Wike, you drop on the outgoing local government chairman and the caretaker committee and Fubara. So the cases are so much.
So where does this leave the local government chairman? Because they're also waiting for this judgment to decide their fate.
It does not leave them anywhere.
Okay.
Because as at the time those people defected, these 24 lawmakers, as at the time they defected, Edison Ehiel, that came in as the factional speaker, declared their seat vacant. Okay, that declaration has not been set aside by any court. Okay, the local government chairman, they said that their tenure still subsists for the next 6 months, and that the Amaewhule faction of the State House of Assembly actually enacted a law to extend it, and that is the substantive State House of Assembly as against that of Jumbo. Okay, but now the court is telling us that the decision that was taken by the State High Court, the State High Court has no jurisdiction, and now they've gone to the Supreme Court. So what it means is that the matter is still sub judice. Okay,
quickly, what does this also mean for laws enacted by these lawmakers? Yeah,
it leaves them nowhere. It leaves them nowhere because the last we heard about the Constitution, is that when you defect from your political party to another political party, you lose your seat. That is it. But there's a proviso that the Speaker of the House shall give vent and declare their seat vacant, and then INEC will be called upon to conduct election. The same INEC that will be called upon now, they have filed a case against them. So the process has not been completed. And the process seems to have been stalled by litigation. Because you cannot go, you have to maintain the status quo ante bellum whenever there's a matter in the court.
All right, so let's go to Higher King now in all of this. How quick should this substantive issue be decided on? Because the fear is that both sides might seek to enforce what they think is the interpretation of that judgment. Now, of course, there are so many issues, but how quick should this substantive issue be decided on?
Yeah, that issue is left for the Supreme Court. I'm not a Supreme Court judge, but unfortunately, I don't even like the way they give this political matter. They give them as a latest hearing. They are the same thing. The matter that I filed in Supreme Court and Court of Appeal for over 5, 6, 7 years, no date. So their own should also be treated as such. Like this, a matter like this should be treated as such. If you ask me, so I don't even see any reason why they are giving them special attention. There's nothing special about it. So how soon? It's the Supreme Court that will determine. It's the Supreme Court that will determine. But if the Supreme Court goes the way the Supreme Court used to go, this matter will not end in the next 3 years. But unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, they will give it attention. And that I don't like as a person. Why should we be giving them special attention? People that violate the Constitution, people that violate the law, people that raised the democracy. So, they saw this section, I keep on saying it. They saw it. This is what we wanted to have done. Now, over 1 year now, we are Supreme Court, you are defected, I did not defect, you have even show me your the membership card, your name is not written here. Yeah, it's just regrettable that what they are doing, regrettable. Like I told you, they don't do what is right, they don't do what is constitutional, they don't do what is legal, they only do what is political. Political is illegal, unconstitutional, not right, always wrong thing. That is what they do. That is what they do. You say you have defected, suddenly you say you have not defected again, that you are now in this party again. Which one do we follow?
Okay, so based on your answer now, whether it's the Okojumbo-led faction or the Amaewhule Martins-led faction, is there a constituted speaker, a constitutionally elected speaker of the House of Assembly? And who is the speaker?
Let's read this way. Rivers State has 33 or 32 or 33 members.
Yes.
Some other states like Kano have 40-something. Some have 11, 8, just like that. And the law says two-thirds. The law says two-thirds. Assuming without considering. No. Because following the constitution, their seats have been declared vacant and they are gone. Now remaining 3 members. What is the two-thirds of 3 members? 3 members can come and legislative president. And right now, even if it's 1 person remaining, the show must go on. What we say is theater. In acting, the show must, even when the key character dies, that is why we have standby generator. We have what we call standby actor. Every role is given 2 positions, is casted with 2, especially stage plays. It's casted 2 characters. So the other one may speak on that point of production. The other one jumps in and begins to take over the place. So assuming that, yes, they have defected, they have gone to FTC, there was no problem. Now, 3 members remaining in the House of Assembly. That's it. So, can't assuming the truth, when they left the law, they went to FTC, and these 3 members remain in PDP. There's no way FTC will control the House. PDP will continue to control the House. And if there are 3 members, can they conduct it? They can conduct the business. So they are recognized. As far as that very day that they said, I think it was on the 13th or 11th of December 2023, they pronounced, I will show the video that we have left. And they left, nobody quarreled with them, they left. And after meeting, before the conduct of election, yeah, like my friend over there pointed out, now I need to come and conduct election. Before the conduct of election, these 3 members are legitimate. They can form a quorum. 2 of them can form a quorum and sit. There's nothing wrong with it. Over the House, I think is 6 members. 6 members in Bayelsa. So the number is not the issue. It is the quorum. It is not, the number is not the issue. There can be 5 members of House of Assembly, and if 2 is quorum, that is 2/3. So it can be 3 members of House of Assembly. So that is what we're talking about. So if 3 members, what is the 2/3 of 3 members? 1.5. In fact, 2 is people surplus. 2 can sit. So that is my own position. That is the
okay. So, but one of the grievances of the state lawmakers till date is that the state is being run without a budget, and the law provides that when there is no budget for the year, the previous year budget can be used, but not more than 3 months, or at least 6 months. That 6 months elapsed. That 6 months elapsed actually last month. What is actually the next set to take? The constitutional step rather to take in this regard?
No, but if the 3 members were legitimate or are legitimate, they are legitimate as far as I'm concerned. Now the 3 members, the was presented to them. They can go. It's not with the new president. But no, like I tell you, the show must be on. It should stand still. Nobody can keep the world standing. No, even as we are talking at the time, all the time, let me see. All the time, I say, no, that's all the time now. Now should have 2:25. I'm holding my work. Don't move. If that 3 members, before any we conduct that election, 3 members can see, receive budget, and which they have done, as far as I'm concerned, legitimately for that matter. They have received it. So like I told you, actually they left on that very day. And having left, what the law says is that their fees becomes vacant. The speaker will go ahead and declare it vacant is just mere formality. For that period, even if it is a day, 3 days, 1 week, before enough we come and conduct the election, who will be the members of the House? The 3 members can be the members of the House. And they can receive budget, they can pass law, they can do anything they have to do. Because at that point, they are legitimate. They are legitimate. Everything they are doing is legitimate. Until, at the end of the day, the court, any of the courts, especially Supreme Court, I don't even take decisions of High Court. For me, I don't know why I don't regard decisions of High Court. For me, they are not, because I'm not going over there with know, they are not codified. They are not collated. I don't even cite a High Court judgment upon a magistrate. People will not take it. You can't even cite it in a court of record. It's so bad. Until you go to the Supreme Court, we take the appeal of the Supreme Court. As far as you're concerned now, you put the Court of Appeal decision that was not practiced, there is no one nothing. Nobody will regard it until they go to the Supreme Court. Why is it like that? So the court should have ended at the appeal. Because the decision should be pending on Supreme Court and legislate it is good.
Okay, so let's move now to the studio, Mr. Amaewhule, on this matter. What do you think about his submission?
Well, the fact is that even these lawmakers, the Uche Jobo's faction, which used to be Edison's faction,
yes,
before Edison resigned and became the chief of staff of the government. They passed a budget, you remember?
Yes.
A budget was passed before the president's intervention. Part of the agreement of the president's intervention is that they should go past another one. You understand?
With the other lawmakers?
Yes, with the other lawmakers, okay? But, you know, since then, the water has still been murky, okay? Now, the Constitution is silent about what will happen in the event that INEC is not able to conduct election immediately. The Constitution is silent about that because you cannot, there's no foreseeable end in litigation, in lawmaking. So the Constitution never envisaged that a situation like this will come up where it will be impossible or almost near impossible for INEC to conduct that election immediately after a defection. Okay, so that's where we are trapped. Now, when the Constitution is silent, what it means is that those who are the lawmakers now, who actually are the ones left after the defection, they are the valid lawmakers. Does not matter how many they are, because the Constitution already said that the ones defected, their seat will be declared vacant. They have lost their seats. That is the truth of the matter. So the ones left, if there's no budget, and they have been using the previous budget for the past 6 months, they should go and pass the governor, because Appropriation Act or Appropriation Bill is an executive bill.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the governor that will pass it to them. They will go and do their own workings and then come up with what it is, and the governor will sign. Okay, and then they should be able to, because they cannot continue the business of governance without the budget. It is illegal. You must have an Appropriation Act before you can spend funds and all that. That is why I said that the elders of the state ought to have taken a decision.
But since the elders have not done anything, what can the people of Rivers do?
Well, the people of Rivers State should get to a point where the people of Rivers State, because what is being messed around with is their mandate. They donated their allegiance collectively to these people to go and govern, not to go and start wrestling and not to go and start boxing. Because what they're not doing is they have so disrespected the people of Rivers State to the point where it has now become very annoying that the people may need to go assert their rights. And how would they assert their rights? If they continue this way, perhaps those who have defected or those who are left and whoever it is, the people can recall them. Okay, I know it's difficult to do. It's difficult, it's tedious, but what they need is, by Section 110 of the 1999 Constitution, what they need is 51% of those who register to vote in the respective constituency can call everybody out. The only difficult thing about it is that the governor cannot be recalled. The governor can only be impeached.
By the House.
By the House. And it can be impeached by the House on the basis of the mandate the people donated to the House to represent them. You understand? It does not also look like a solution. I'm just saying that it's an option, but it's not a solution in the long run. So at the end of the day, the presidential solution, the solution that the president intervention didn't work. The elders took side too early. The warring parties are not ready to rescind. Okay? So it looked like a helpless case. But I think that the elders of that state will have to reconsider their stand and go back to the drawing board. This whole thing lies on them. And it's shameful that up till now, they have not been able to look for a way out. I mean, these persons who represent, they are not the only people in Rivers State. The Rivers State people did not, while other states are carrying on, they are moving on. Okay, for the past 1 year, and it's been from one trouble to another. The politicians should also think. If not for the courts, the politicians would have long destroyed this country a long time ago. Even these rivers, if not for the court's intervention in different areas, by now everything would have been out of shape. So it is our submission, or my submission, that the elders of that state must do something, and they must do it fast. they are not going to find headway in the court.
Okay.
Yes, because we are filing one today, another person filing another one today in the wrong courts, and the matter is not going forward.
Okay, so let's
not making progress.
Let's go to Zoom now. Mr. Ofeli is saying that we cannot find headway in the courts. Now, what do you think is the way out of all of this debacle? Hi, King, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so what do you think is the way out of all of this? Mr. Ofeli here says that, unfortunately, we cannot get solutions from the court. So what do you think is the way out?
No, I completely agree with it. In my office, I wrote something and I have a quote that said settlement is better than court judgment. Settlement is better than court judgment. Whether High Court, Court of Appeal or Supreme Court, settlement is always better than court judgment. I think Fubara and Wike himself, two of them that have come a very long way, I have said this several times, two of them that have come a very long way can sit down and they just lock themselves in a room. Two of them don't lock themselves in a room. Forget about all these psychopaths and foot soldiers and people supporters who call their supporters and all that. They just stay in a room and they just come out and say, we have resolved and we have resolved. Let me even tell you, I don't even think both of them are fighting. They are really not fighting. Personally, they are really not fighting because two of them have mutual interest. Two of them have mutual interest. For me to have supported Fubara, they have mutual interest. There is something binding them. There is something holding them. So they should be able to sit down, sorry, boy, now why are you saying this stubborn? No, just like as we treat our children and our friends, boy, never could forget this thing now, boy, they come, we just see that, boy, you nonsense boy, you nonsense man, why you chat like that now? Say, now, God, are you cut them now? Then they resolve it, and they will come out and tell about people in Nigeria, we have resolved it. I think that would be the best solution because two of them went into a room, sat down, and agreed that I am going to support you as a governor, you are going to succeed me, and two of them started that race, and it happened. So two of them can lock themselves up. I don't know whether it's possible, but I think it's still possible. Or that I'm sorry, boy, you, now what for you, I want for God. We don't move, they just move forward. I think that is the best solution. God will not give anybody solution. Like I told you, Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court goes the way it goes, this matter will be there until this cannot finish it. That is actually the truth. But they will give it as a accelerated hearing. But I know that no matter the kind of accelerated hearing they take, we'll still have another 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 months to go. And River State is suffering. My mother is a pensioner. She has not been paid. My elder brother, who died in active service, is a pensioner. He's gratuitous. And now, the thing has also led to the locking up of all the local government secretariat in Port Harcourt is locked up.
All right.
Why should police be there? That's another issue. Why should police be there? The civil servants are at home now, and they're going to be collecting salary. Local government service workers are at home, and you look of the place. Officers are there, what do you call it? Documents are there. Nobody enters the local government headquarters. All the 25th headquarters. It's another issue.
All right.
Again, police there, not up everywhere. They are not keeping in charge that they are.
All right, Higher King, thank you so much. Of course, for want of time, we have to end these segments here. We have had